Hi, Susan Blue Robot here from SusanBlueRobot.com. I'm here today with another card making video. Well, this card I'm making as a page in my next pop-up book. If you haven't seen my pop-up books, you'll find videos on my blog. I now have 9 of them, and this will make 10. And also have just a shout out there that I have my how I bind my books video on my blog as well at SusanBlueRobot.com. And at the moment we'll get started. I'm using Make the Cut's pop-up card studio. Make the Cut. None of this would have been possible without Scat Cat. Anyone that has an interest in cutting machines and they're in Australia and New Zealand, they can contact Scat Cat and they will help you out. And today I'm using scrappydoos.com's images for this project. And I'll show you what we are doing. This is one of my pages in my next book. It's a card inside of a card to make a bigger pop-up. That's shut. You open it up and here I have my card, and then you just lift the flap to reveal an extended pop-up, adding the words in. So in the one card you have the two cards which make two views of the pop-up. So, and here is the image that I'm using. This page is called Be Happy, and when I show my book you'll see what it all is. So I think we'll get started. First off, we have to go to Make the Cut. Okay, first off we have the image. Now I've already gotten the image out of the files and generated it to the way I like it. I'll just lock these so you can see a better view of it, and we'll turn it to contrast. So here's what I have so far. We'll zoom in. So this is the two images, the boy unbelievable and the girl unbelievable. And I've altered his arm I'll alter this arm temporarily and show you. What I've done is I've selected this and holding control key down, I flipped it, then I turned it to and I brought it out like that. Now I would have got the hand out of the file as well if I had have had nothing there, but at this point the hand would be behind the girl, so I didn't bother doing that. So go back there. So, and that's how, and I put him below the girl so it was in the right order. Now what I want to do is I want to take a copy of that, weld them all together, and then we do a shadow, and I want a shadow not of minus, of 1.5, and I think I want the black out. Let's see it without the background. Alright, I'll take it without the black out. There we go, accept. Now it's that image there that I want to take over to Pop-Up Card Studio. So we'll do a copy of that over to Make the Pop-Up Card Studio, and on a plane of 1 inch I'm going to do paste in place. This is a 5-inch card by 5-inch card, and we want to crop the bottom so there's a straight line. Now, because I've given myself a shadow, it works out that I can crop the bottom, and I'm going to crop between the antennas to give a straight section there. And that's where I'll be anchoring it to the back of the card. Now, I'm doing a print and cut on this. You're quite welcome. Whatever design you're doing, you can do a paper piecing. Now, and I just clean up what I don't want. I want this bit in here, but I don't want this. So with inverse eraser, I just erase them 2 bits out. And so I still have this bit here. I go back here, and I go spacebar, and I get to the first plane I want. This part is, well, the whole card is just normal making pop-up cards. I'm doing an auto clod with the snapping of 1/8 of an inch or higher, and I'm going to put my anchors on here. Control Shift down to the next one, put my anchor on here. Now that's all it is so far to the card. That part of the card is this card here. Now we have to build the other part of the card. So this part is done. So what I do is I save that, and I export as SVG. Now I've done that, so I'm not going to go ahead and do that. But what you would do now is you would save this as, say, Be Happy, well, in my case, Be Happy Book. And then what you do is you'd export it as an SVG. After exporting it as an SVG, you now go Save As, and you go Save As Happy Book 02, because now we're going to build the second part of our card. Well, with that now called Happy 02, we go to a plane of 0, a snapping of, say, 1/4 of an inch, and we want a Bezier tool, auto quad, 2-point rec, and I'm going to go here at the inch mark, over to this inch mark, and then work out how much you want to go up. Right, I want to go there. Okay, that's alright, it's taken the girl away, but what we're going to what we're going to do is drop that to the bottom, and that's the crop and chop out that we're going to have to build our wording up here and our mechanism. So what we do with that is we go copy that, we go to hit the space bar and go to a plane, bottom plane of 0, and then we go paste in place, and we go center, should be centered, and we go down to the bottom plane. When it's down to the bottom plane, we drop that to the bottom. Then, holding the D key down, we select the original and delete it. We left that there so we knew that we weren't judging that we had enough room for the middle pop-up. We used that as a guide to go by. Now hit the space bar and go to a plane of 0.75, and I build my wording up here and up here. So we'll bring in the word Be Happy, add, go back to the select tool And now we want to split them. This one's split down here. Don't break apart because then you'll separate the B middles and the P middles. If you just do a split, they come with it. So then we organize this, take the snapping off. We organize this so it's up and down. So you've got to have room this side and this side. So you look at your shadow. So what I'd probably do is bring this B over a bit to make sure that it's not going to chop out. And you put your happy in place. Now you can do a vertical alignment, but with scattered rough letters like this, I like to have them like that. So what I meant by that, if they were all even letters, I could grab them like here, over here, vertical center, and go like that. But I don't like the way the H and the A move apart from each other. But it depends on what lettering you're using. That might be a good button, but I'll undo that. Now I'll just resize this to the size that I want. Take it down under this line because we don't want it sticking out, and we're going to put a shadow around that. And I think that's just about right. So I'm going to give that a shadow of 1.4, accept, and I'm going to give this one a shadow of 1.4, and I'm going to go accept. Then before I do anything else, I'm going to take a copy of them. So I select them all, do copy, go across to make the cut, and I do a paste in place. And I get rid of the shadow because I don't want the shadow, but I brought it across so it was easier. Go cut that. And I know those letterings are going to be perfect when I take it over to the card because I took a copy of them while they were the right dimensions across from each other. So now we go back to Pop-Up Card Studio, select these, do a weld, select these, do a weld. Now here is when I go, okay, I don't like the way the E's are here and the B might need a bit more. So what I do is I use the inverse eraser and I just tweak so there is enough room for these not to fall out and bend. So between the E's, I just take away or add to the shadow, and down the bottom I give myself it doesn't matter if you go too far down because we're going to be cropping from the bottom. So I give this a bit more of a shadow down here. And we're going to do a crop now. No, I'm going to go back and just do one more across here. That's better. Now we're going to crop as that. When we get the dotted line, we know we're at the bottom. What I might do is just lower this ever so slightly. So I have to do tweaking of the B anyway when I get over there. That's better. Okay, so now we'll just double check to see that that is on the bottom plate. And it is. We have the score lines here and the score lines there. So now we go, give us a top anchor point. So we chop, we take it off the snapping, and we give ourselves an anchor point at the top here. Now I'm doing 2 anchor points on the H, one here and one up here. And then we hit the space bar, which takes us to the top. To put our anchors on, I go on a 1/8 of an inch. This is all just normal pop-up card making, but the wow factor is in that this one is being made to go around the other one. So you can have a card, when they open it up, it's just a picture. It looks wow because it's a pop-up. And I always say a pop-up card, no matter how plain it is, still looks wow. It gives that effect, but this one has the extra that this pops up over the other. So now what we have is we've now saved that and export it as SVG. So now we're finished in as in render as SVG. I've done this. So now we're finished in Pop-Up Card Studio. Now what we'll do is we over and make the cut. Now we don't need these pieces because they were only for taking over to making the shadow and taking over to Pop-Up Card Studio. So I'll get rid of them, or you can close them and keep them for another time. But at this point in time, I'm going to get rid of them. So I've got my girl here, girl and boy there, and my wording here, which I've changed the wording to the same color as the feet. How I did that was, I clicked on the feet, I right click, because these are the colors that came in the little girl, and except for the hair, I changed the hair color. So what I do is, with that, I go add to custom colors, and I go OK. Then when it came to this, I right clicked on that, I go changed color, and then what I do, oh this one is picked, but to say it was picked here, what I do is take the custom color that I've just added from the feet, I click on that and go OK, and so that turned it into that color. Right, so now that was a bit of a sidetrack. Now I want to bring in the SVGs. Right, so I want to bring in the happy book, change that to white so we can see what we're doing, and I want to bring in the happy book too, and we change that to white so I know what I'm doing. Now if you're working on a print and cut and it's only an A4 size, or the equivalent I think is called letter in America, you will have to do these separately. I have been lucky enough to purchase a 3 size printer, so I'm going to generate mine as a full thing, but so I'm going to use it like this, but of course you could do your own, do them on separate layers and keep them separate. So now what I want to do is temporarily lock that and lock that so I don't pick them up when I'm trying to put these in place. I take this across here. Oh, no. I take the boy, I find the boy, this happened last time, and I move him to the top, and I take the lettering and I move that to the top. No, to the top, not the bottom. Now I want to take the boy under the girl because I want the boy's arm that's around the girl to be behind. Now I can select all of these, take them and put them into place. And I can take these and put these into place as well. Now what I wanted to do is select that, zoom in. I hold the control key down and use my mouse to zoom in. And we just tweak them into position. That looks about right. So now if I do a print preview on that, I want to show you something. Because I want the outlines of the boy's, nose and hair and features and the girl's features to be outlined, I've clicked on draw outlines of shapes in the print cut. So this is where you find this if you haven't seen it in any of my other videos. This one here is to be ticked. Print shape outlines. That's why I can have the nose, the eyes, and all, so it's not just blank when it's printed out. Especially if you have white on white pieces. Like if these 2 feet were white, this would be a line around here. If it wasn't clicked here, it'd be plain just white. So we go okay. So what I do now, because I'm doing a print and cut, and I'll explain the print and cut on here as well. This is what I do. I get a new layer called Always On. Move this to the bottom. Now with that highlighted dark grey, I bring in the pencil tool and I do a line that's out from my whole lot of my work. There and there. Now if you notice that my registration marks moved out from here. So now if I turn off both the cards, when I print, my registration marks are going to be in order. But hang on one second and I'll show you. Print setup. I really must find out how to get that to stay there. Okay. Now if I do a print preview, my registration marks are in the corner, and if you see here that my little lines that I've got always on are still going to be on all of my cuts. So my registration marks are not going to be moved, even though I've turned off the actual cards and stuff. So what I do is I now print that. Then I turn off these and I turn these on, separate the score lines, right. So what I do is turn off the cut lines. Oh, I didn't mean to turn that off, and leaving the one that's called Always On. I would then do my score lines. I use a score tool, and that's the reason why I don't do it at the same time as my cutting. But because I've got this Always On file, my registration marks have not changed. If you notice, if I turn that off, the registration marks go to very little, and it's not going to line up. Then what I do is turn them on, turn the score lines off, and off, and there I have my card. So now that's your card part cut. Now with these 2 on, I'm going to take those 2 and do a copy of, because now we're going to get a layering. No, unlock them first. Unlock. Okay, I'm going to take these and copy them. Copy. And I'm going to get a new page. And we're going to go paste in place. So what we're going to be building now is we're going to be building our matting, our covering for all this. So that's easy. What I've got it on, everything here is on a plane of 1 and plane of 1, so I know that it's all centerized. So I'm going to now, with my control key down, join up my pieces here and here, and that will give me my basic. Turn this to yellow so you can see what I'm doing. So this we're going to be building our pieces. Now what we need is, where's my picture? On here we need one backing without that goes around the boy and girl, and we need this square bit with the bit cut out of here. Then what we need is that square bit that's cut out of there plus around the words. Now at the bottom what we need is we need the B in the right position, the little boy and girl and the thing, so the casing of this goes over both. And you'll see what I mean by that when we start putting the card together, which I have at the end of this video when we're going to swap over to the other camera and I'm going to show you how I make it up. Okay, so what we do now is we're going to take a copy of this one. We're going to go copy, paste in place, and we're going to put that on a plane of a y-axis and an x-axis of 1 each. So now that's just sitting perfectly over the top of the one beside it. Because what we then do is with that one, we're going to break apart, we're going to throw away the outside one, and we're going to throw away this square. So now if you notice that this is now perfectly in line, so we can get this bottom bit done. And this is still here. So now we're going to break everything apart. Select it all and break it apart. Now comes the fun and easy way of doing this. First off, we take this outer one and we chop it. We get rid of that. And we turn this one into a 5" by 5". With the lock not locked, we turn it into a 5". We go enter. So now that's in the same spot as it should be. I'm going to now do a duplicate of this. We right click and go duplicate or Control D. And we're going to go 2 rows and 2 columns at 0 spacing. So that means that's putting those cards back, but they're now chopped in half. So there was no chopping involved. We just added them back in because they've been put side by side. And we go apply. Now what we do is we click on this one, go copy. Then we select all these 3, we go join. Then we hold the shift key down and select the bottom square on this side. We go boolean join, difference of A to B, and we go apply. So now we have, without doing the shadowing first, we now have that all worked out. So we go paste in place because we've already pasted this one into the clipboard. So with that one selected, we hold the shift key down, select that one, and we go Boolean join, B to A difference, apply. And we now take this center one, holding the shift key down. Oh, first off, do a copy of that center one, copy. Now hold the shift key down, and we go Boolean join, B A difference, apply. And we go paste in place, and those three center ones here now, we do a join. The reason I'm doing a join is because to do a Boolean join, you only need to undo. You can only do a Boolean join with two pieces, and we want all these three pieces out of the top. So we we hold the shift key down and select the outer square, and we go Boolean join, B difference A, apply. So now you have all four pieces that we're going to be needing. And we go there. Okay, so now what we now do is if you've seen some of my other videos, because where the folds are and stuff, there is a bit of loss at the fold line. So I always do an inner shadow of my backgrounds. And especially with this book, I noticed that one of them, I had one mistake that I hadn't trimmed down the bottom here, and it's now a bit buckled because where it folds, it needs that movement. So with that said, I select this one, I do an inward shadow of -1, accept, and we go around and do all of them, an inward shadow of -1, accept, inward shadow of -1, accept, inward shadow of cancel, select the next one, inward shadow of -1, accept. So now we have all of our pieces. First off, turn off this yellow one for the moment. Now we have our two bottom. In this card, they're all going to be yellow, but in my other ones, I did my like grass down here and a different color up here. So you would cut them. I usually put them those two are nearly always the same, and these two are nearly always the same. And we'll clean that up so I have them. Now, what we need is open this up, and we only need this one here. Put that on its own layer. I'm going to throw away these. Normally I'd keep them and just hide them. Okay, so this one here, say I'm cutting the card out of white, the main part of the card, this one here would be white. So I'd be cutting that the same color as I cut my printed cut paper. In this case, I made a mistake when I made this card and I cut this out of black. I wasn't happy with it. Okay, so this one's white and the others are both yellow cut. Now, so we have all our pieces there for cutting. Now I get a new page and I bring in a square that's 5 inches by 5 inches with the lock axis ratio on. Right now, with that selected, I take that off and I do that one to be 10 inches. And I want a shadow of that of 5. This becomes my outer. This one now becomes my outer card that I put it into. This is the black outer card with a 5mm shadow all the way around my card. Now, the wonderful thing about the Scrappy Doo files is they come with trims. Now, this is in the Unbelievable Boy and the Unbelievable Girl. You have this one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a copy of that, take that over to my project, and on this page I'm going to do paste in place. Now I just want, that's 12, nearly 12 inches. I just want it tweaked to be going to fit on my page. And because I'm using an A4 size card to stop, black card to cut it on, I'm going to put 2 of them alongside each other. On the scene, this cut absolutely beautifully. So that can all fit on an A4 card, and then these being just over the 11 inches wide, they're going to fit on my 5-inch card, so I'll trim them where necessary when I'm doing my putting together. So we have our outer card, our trims for our card, our layering for the card, and our backing for this top piece here. This is black behind here, but it'll be white. I should have cut it white so it just blended in with that. And you have your card, so that's ready to cut. So what we'll do now is we'll stop here. Don't go away, because after a couple of minutes of looking at what I used for making this card, I will swap over to the other video and you can then watch me make the card up from cut to a finished product. Don't go away. Remember, all my videos are at susanbluerobot.com. I'm using Pop-Up Card Studio. Make the cut, and Scrappy Doo's files, which can be purchased from Scrappy Doo. If you're in Australia or New Zealand, ScatCat is the place to go. Okay, now we're going to start making the card. Now we start with our pieces. We have our colour for our backing, our outside of our card, all our pieces for our background, our trims, plus important that sometimes you'll end up with little bits and pieces to go on your piece. Keep them aside. I also marked the back of it with a little mark so I knew which way up it was when it comes to making. Now we have our one cut with our print and cut on it, and our second card that will go to the outer. So we'll start by folding these. I still use the ruler because I find it easier when you've got big hands. I just give a slight crease at the start. That way I've trained my card so when it comes to folding I can work it out. Then I fold these forward, give a crease with my bone folder, And then what I do is I go along, crease all the edges with my bone folder so that they're nice crisp folds. So we'll lay that aside. Then we'll go ahead. Of course, if you're watching this video, you've probably already seen me fold cards before, but what I use is I use my ruler to just fold up the pieces. That way I can get it looking a bit crisper. I go along to all the score lines, the mountain and the valley folds. And mark my card. With a little crease. Then once again I fold it over, crease it in the way that it wants to fold. And this side. We fold them down and our card back into half to get the halfway mark. Use my bone folder again. It's a long time since I've done a card fully from start to finish in a video. Okay, so now what we have is this becomes a card inside a card, or a pop-up inside a pop-up. So, first off, because this part here gets glued to the bottom of the card, this part here is loose, so we have to put a backing on that as well. So we'll start by that. We'll put this aside. We'll grab the black backing or whatever colour. A lot of my cards that I did this, I used the white as the backing, but for this card I decided that it's definitely the back black that I want to use. And we add the glue. To that. Then what we do is we add our card in place. And on video it's going to be difficult. My hands might get in the way. And we secure that down by making sure the glue is dry. And I still have not been able to get a new glue, so sometimes it just doesn't dry. Now, as I said before, we're going to glue this in there, just on the bottom base. So we add glue to this. Okay, so now what I would do is lay it face down like that, set it up where it's got to go, because it's got to go perfectly inside this card. And we fold it down. And so there we have the start of our card. It starts off this card, then if you lift up this, you get your other message. Now, here's what we do now is we grab our next piece to go in, which is the piece that fits in the back here with the card down closed. So this will go there. So what we'll do is I'll get my glue ready. Make sure you put the glue on the right side. The other day on one of them I had to recut it because I put the glue on the wrong side. Once you have your glue on, then you lift your card into position. So that's got to be back. So you put your card in into the right place. Just tweak it where it should be going. And there we have that. And we make sure we push it around so the glue takes. So we have the start at the back of our card. Now we find the piece. There's one piece that looks like this, which will go in here. Maybe I should have made this one white, but add the glue onto that. Okay, then you carefully put that in place. Now, what you then do is you lift this up and you find the pieces that are going on these. Now, we'll start with the base. Now, unlike other bases, this base covers both the top card and the bottom card, as you've seen when I was making the pattern earlier. So this will go in here like that. So we'll add glue onto that. And of course, if you've seen my video of this book, you will see that I've used all different colours for both the base and the top. So it's just a matter of picking the colour which suits your project the best. Now we're going to put that in place. Just like that. Make sure you put it in so it's secure. Now we're going to put this piece and that little tiny piece, which I'll cover in a minute. So we put glue on this, of course on the back of this. And this is a bit harder to get into place because you've got all your bits and pieces to get around your lettering, but you just take your time. You got the advantage that you aren't watching, that you haven't got your hands in the way of a videotaping, like me. So that's in place. Now I'll grab a pair of tweezers, and as I said, I had this piece which I marked, which is just for inside here, inside there. So I just add a bit of glue to that. We put that in place. So there you have your pop-up inside pop-up. Like that. So this opens up. It's like that. And now it's ready for the trim. And normally I wouldn't have trims ready to go on the cards. But this time, because Scrappy do have the trims on their patterns, I thought, oh, I'll just use one of these trims. So what you can do is put glue on the back of that, or you can grab the Siron, drop them in there, and comes out the other end. And I want all 4 pieces. Just makes gluing lettering and little pieces like these a lot easier. To grab your Siron, put that aside, put the card aside for a minute. What you do is you give it a good rub down, so that releases all the excess taping. Then you peel off the backing. Oh, that didn't work. You peel off the backing. Once the backing's off, you can see that there's a bit of still gluey residue. You just rub your hands over it. And that gets rid of the majority of it. And you can also do that when it's on your card to get rid of it. Okay, so what we'll do, here's my plan, is to put one here. Which way round looks better? Okay, so when you've worked it off, just pull off the backing so you have yourself a sticker, and you put this in place. Now I know these are 5 inches wide, because that's how I set up the pattern. So it fits perfectly across there. And you just use your finger, just rubbing it like that, to get rid of the residue. There's nothing worse than making the card and all sticking together, sticking to the next card. And there we have the first of our decoration on our card. So we're going to put one up here as well. As once again a car goes by. All the cars in our street seem to have very loud exhausts. I guess that's the benefit of me getting up early. You don't hear all these cars, but I'm doing this in the daytime today. So we have, this is our first part of the card, and then what we want is to decorate this side. So we're going to do exactly the same. Is we pull the backing off, and we put this in place. Yes, just checking that it wasn't going to be seen from, I've got permanent tape in my Siron. Now a tip is, if you buy the repositional, you have the benefit to be able to reposition it, but if it's on there for a long time, it becomes permanent. So there's no point of it coming off. So from now on, when I buy the Siron stuff, I'll be buying the repositional, because it turns permanent after a shortish period of time. And you put this one on, you got to make sure it's around the lettering. And just brush away the excess. I'll put this in the bin. And what we do is we put this in the card. Glue's no good. You put the glue in your card. You line it up where it should be. Hold the card and bring the top over. Then what you do, you turn it over, add glue to the other part of your card. Yes, I'm calling this a card because that's what most people will make this style a card, but mine of course is going to be a page of my book, so I'm not going to decorate the outside of my card. Of course, it's going to be enclosed into a book. Now what we have is, this is our book. A card, we open it up. It's a nice looking card, but there's a surprise. If you lift this one, it adds a second pop-up to either side, this side and that side. Now this just shows that once again, pop-ups aren't just normal everyday pop-ups. Bear in mind, I'm using the Scrappy Doos images for this. Make it your own. You can do the same sort of style and use anything you like, and use dogs or arty stuff. It's entirely up to you. Just because I use robots and dolls on my projects people are going, oh, can you use something else? Well, I'm not going to use dogs and cats and things like that when it's just not my style, but you can take what I make and give it your own spin on it.